Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the November 5th, 2013 meeting of the Glendale City Council, being called to order at 6:12 p.m. Sorry we had a long afternoon. The flag salute tonight will be led by Councilmember Quintero and the invocation by Pastor Emeritus Charles Updike, First Baptist Church of Glendale. Please stand.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invocation.
Let us pray. Gracious God, make us aware of your blessings this day. Shower us with your peace. Show us a way forward. Thank you for our mayor and council. May we work together to do the benefit of our citizens. So may it be this night. Amen.
Thank you. May we have your report?
The agenda for the November 5th, 2013 regular meeting of the Glendale City Council was posted on Thursday, October 31st, 2013 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Okay, next please.
Next item on the agenda under presentations and appointments, 3A is agenda preview for the meetings of November 12, 2013. There will be no meetings. The council will be dark on November 12th, 2013, so there is no agenda preview.
And there's no afternoon session either. Okay, thank you. Next.
Next is Mayor's commendation to the members of the City Hall Student Ambassador Program. Mr. Mayor, if you allow me to present to you some very special individuals who have been helping this chamber out for the last...
They've already finished their term? Oh, that went quick.
It sure did. Time flies. Mr. Mayor and Council, one of the great programs that we have here at City Hall is the Student Ambassador Program. And what that basically is every Tuesday evening here, we have a number of students from our local high schools who help act as ushers and guides to visitors to these chambers who come here to address you, to express their opinions on the various issues of the day. And we recruit them from all of our public high schools. We have a rigorous interview process. We pick the best of the best, and this year's class certainly didn't disappoint. They are now coming to the end of their term of service. Again, they come here every Tuesday. They are the young men and women you see in the back of the council in the lobby of City Hall who direct our visitors up to these chambers, who explain to people how to fill out a public comment card. And we have this evening 6 of the individuals who will be being recognized by you. So we have with us Vahan Ghazarian from Clark Magnet High School. He is a senior. Vahan, why don't you come up? We have David Olvera Sanchez, Clark Magnet High School, a senior. We have Nico Megardician, Clark Magnet High School, also a senior. We have Arvin Yosefian from Daly High School, a senior. We have Luisa Harutunian, Clark Magnet High School, senior, and Christian Mendoza, Clark Magnet High School, senior as well. And we have had participants, just so nobody thinks there's a Clark Magnet bias here, independent of the fact that my mother teaches there. But we have had students from Hoover High School. We have had students from Glendale High School, our alma mater. And this year we had our first Daly High School student who has completed the program. So with that, we'd like to recognize them. So,
Well, I'd like to read one.
Please.
They're all similar. In recognition of your participation in the City Hall Student Ambassador Program, your outstanding service assisting the community and staff during council meetings is greatly appreciated. On behalf of City of Glendale, I wish you success in your future endeavors. And I'm glad he pronounced all your names so I didn't have to. I didn't want to butcher anything.
These young kids are otherwise known as Artie's Army.
Don't have to wait till 7:30 with each.
Thank you very much. Again, Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you for indulging us with that important presentation. Many of these young people forego their homework assignments, time with their families to be here at City Hall on Tuesday evenings with us, so I thank you for that. Next item is presentation from Dan Fager, Executive Director of Bob Hope Airport, and Suzanne Giorgino, President of the Burbank-Glendale-Pasadena Airport Authority, on the progress that has been made in the development of the future vision of the airport.
Okay, Glendale residents, now you're going to hear everything you need to know about a proposed new air terminal at Burbank Bob Hope Airport. Susan?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the Glendale City Council, and thank you so much for allowing Mr. Fager and I the opportunity to address you all tonight. I am privileged to serve as a commissioner representing the City of Burbank, and this year to serve as the president of the Authority Commission. I am honored to serve with two of your council members, Frank Quintero and Laura Friedman, and your mayor, Dave Weaver. I want to first and foremost thank the City of Glendale for the partnership that we have had with you with respect to the Joint Powers Authority of the Airport Authority and to the governance relationship that has grown to be a very positive relationship over the past several years between the airport and Burbank as the host community. The Airport Authority, the City of Burbank, and the three cities that make up the Joint Powers Authority are at a unique and exciting crossroads. We are working very cooperatively with the City of Burbank, trying to forge a vision with two critical projects. One is our community-based planning process for a new replacement terminal, and the second focuses on the 58-acre development opportunity. Both of these, if approved, will dramatically change the area that the area we call the Golden State area, but is really the gateway to the San Fernando Valley from the air and even becoming more so from rail and other forms of transportation. Tonight, our goal is to share with you our exciting project and where we're headed for the future, and to be able to get your input and questions should you have regarding the project. And I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of the Authority, Mr. Dan Fager, who will briefly outline the project and all of its components.
Thank you, Sue. Good evening, Mayor Weaver, members of the Glendale City Council. As Sue said, these are actually very exciting times for us. After so many years of hoping that we could someday see the light and perhaps build a modern replacement terminal, it looks like we're now on that path to make that happen. The goal here is to replace our 83-year-old building with a safe, modern 14-gate terminal that meets current earthquake design standards and the FAA standards for distance from the runways. We want to provide the same conveniences and easy access that Glendale residents and air travelers now enjoy in the existing terminal building. And we want to provide additional amenities which the public have identified and are typically available in a modern airport terminal. We have the benefit of having a 109-acre piece of land that's adjacent to the Antelope Valley rail line on the north and is in close proximity to the Metrolink and Amtrak service that goes out to Ventura County on the south. The 49-acre airport zone parcel is the proposed location for a replacement terminal, and the 58-acre opportunity parcel is surplus land that we believe should be developed to its maximum economic engine capabilities. With respect to the terminal, what the Airport Authority is proposing to do is build a replacement 14-gate terminal. The terminal configuration there is blocked out in black. You can see 7 airplanes on the north and 7 airplanes on the south. The terminal is constrained by the air traffic control tower on the south and a property line and a future central plant for this terminal on the north. So the site actually limits the number of gates that can be built there. The orange area represents 2 parking structures capable of supporting about 4,000 parking spaces. And all of it is in close walking proximity to maintain that close proximity between parking and the terminal. This is what we've heard from so many people that we've talked to. Don't screw it up. We like the way that it works. It's fast, convenient, serves our needs. Please don't make it so modern and so complicated that it defeats the purpose of being a regional airport. And second, don't use local taxes to pay for it. This facility will not be paid by local taxes. It's paid by airlines and airport users and the FAA. Our passengers and our residents want a variety of restaurants and concessions, wider corridors and more spacious waiting areas, larger spaces for TSA passenger and baggage security screening, roomier baggage claim areas, larger ticket lobby and airline ticket counters, adequate space for the airline functions, additional restroom facilities and increased family restrooms, and fully integrated designs for Americans with disabilities accessibility. Our existing terminal building, as I said earlier, is 14 aircraft parking positions, has 6,631 parking spaces, and is approximately 210,000 square foot in size. The proposed replacement terminal building would also have 14 gates. It would have the same number of airline passenger parking spaces, but it would increase in size to 355,000 square feet, representing about a 68% increase. That size increase is due to the added amenities, and it reflects the state of the airline industry, which is to use longer airplanes that have more seats so that there are more passengers going each time an airplane takes off and lands. What that does is it reduces the number of flights to move the same number of passengers, but it puts more load, more demand on the terminal building because you're putting more passengers in each hold room as you're waiting to load the aircraft. And that increase actually telegraphs throughout the entire building. This chart shows some of the square footage. You can see that square footage is added in all the different categories of space within the terminal building. This terminal is functionally identical to how the existing terminal works. It's basically all of the passenger services are on one level. Baggage claim, ticketing, the corridors, getting onto the airplane. The airplane would still have loading from the front and the back. So it's intended to preserve what we like about Burbank Bob Hope Airport. This illustration shows the various project components that make up this project. The blue area is the location for the replacement terminal, and that is that 49-acre adjacent property we showed earlier. The area to the right of the terminal is that 58-acre opportunity site. What's being proposed to develop there is approximately up to 3 million square feet of various uses, including Class A office, an innovation campus, flex cluster of flex industrial, and a mixed-use main street with a combination of retail office. That site is 58 acres. I think the Americana site is, 15 acres? So you could fit more than 3 Americana, almost 4 Americanas on that site. Give you some sense and perspective of how much opportunity is actually located there. With the construction of the replacement terminal, the existing terminal, which is that red cross-hatched area there, would be demolished, and in its place, the existing taxiway C would be extended, and the existing taxiway A would be extended through what was the building. The area here in the southeast quadrant is currently where we are constructing our regional intermodal transportation center. That facility, as I've told the council in the past, is comprised of a consolidated rent-a-car facility, a new metro transit station, which can accommodate the Glendale B line, could accommodate Burbank Bus, can accommodate all kinds of bus operations, and it's located immediately adjacent to the Bob Hope Airport train station located along the Ventura line. And all of it is connected by a moving sidewalk that comes up to the existing terminal building. When this, if and when this development takes place and the existing terminal building is demolished, this facility will still be in place here. With 4,000 parking spaces on the north, there would be about 2,600 parking spaces in the south. Some of the parking spaces would be adjacent to the Ritzy, and people would walk from that parking lot here. The balance of the parking, we're proposing to have remote valet. So instead of people trying to hunt and peck through 2,000 parking spaces, they would drop off their cars where the existing valet facility is and actually ride the elevated moving walkway to the bus station, where the buses would serve all of these functions here and go back up to the terminal building. This project represents a tremendous opportunity for the Tri-City region. Just the construction of the terminal building represents a $300 to $400 million construction investment funded by the FAA, airlines, and airport users, not Burbank, Glendale, or Pasadena taxpayers. Creates a substantial number of terminal-related jobs in construction, and then, to a certain extent, additional jobs in transportation and services. Note that I haven't included the capital investment for the opportunity site. That, too, would be a very substantial investment, and that, too, is intended to create companies and jobs moving to this part of the valley. This project preserves what's good about the airport and makes it great: better parking, easier to use, more amenities. It acts as a catalyst to attract a mix of highest and best uses and jobs to the adjacent opportunity site. It strengthens Burbank's appeal as a growing media and high-tech hub served by convenient air transportation and a modern terminal. And as Sue said earlier, it's our belief that this project will spur additional transportation investment in the region. We hope that this will be a catalyst for spending more money to improve rail service in both lines, and to hopefully someday spur bus service from Pasadena to Glendale, to Burbank, to the airport, and maybe even build a better connection from the North Hollywood Red Line station to the airport. And we think that this project will help make that a reality. This project represents the gateway to the Tri-City region. We have a fine, venerable old terminal building, but it just does not speak well for what this Tri-City region represents in terms of its economic and business potential and what it means to be the entertainment capital of the world. One of the keys to this project moving forward has been the tremendous cooperation between the City of Glendale, the City of Pasadena, and the City of Burbank. And it's exemplified by a proposal that the Airport Authority has suggested to the three cities, that they consider a JPA amendment, an amendment to the governance document for the airport, that would require a supermajority vote. That means a vote by 2 commissioners from each of the 3 cities for certain types of actions, including adding more gates, ending the voluntary curfew, expanding the terminal beyond the terminal building that's being proposed here, or acquiring land. What this does is it gives protection to all 3 cities that if this is not in the best interest of the region to do one of these things, that city can say, no, we don't think it's appropriate. On November 14th, the Airport Authority and the City Council will meet for the purpose of moving an environmental impact report forward for this project. If that action takes place, that will launch about a 1-year environmental impact report process, and hopefully leading to sometime in early 2015 completion of a CEQA analysis, a public comment period, leading to a spring 2015 completion of all of the required approvals from the City of Burbank, and a JPA amendment which requires approval by each of the 3 cities. And then finally, with all those approvals in hand, the City of Burbank, Measure B requires that we ask the voters of Burbank to approve a replacement terminal project. And it's our hope that they will see the value that we believe is there and vote affirmatively. And that is the vision for the future of the Burbank Bob Hope Airport.
Any comments from my colleagues? Mr.
I
Quintero.
just wanted to add, it wasn't mentioned, that the current situation is that we have one train station, and that line goes from L.A. Union Station far down to San Diego, for that matter, goes to Glendale, Bob Hope Airport, then on to Ventura, Oxnard, Santa Barbara, actually all the way up to San Luis Obispo. However, next, and we've already done the groundbreaking, so to speak, will be a line that goes from on the northern boundary of the airport, and that goes up into the Antelope Valley, Santa Clarita, and starts in downtown LA. That line, however, would be a section of the proposed high-speed rail, whether we do a blended system or whatever finally comes down. So this is going to be an airport that's really going to be a transportation center. And in addition to being able to fly from that location, you'll also be able to take trains to different parts of Southern California.
Any other comments, questions? Well, Mr. Fager, thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We got the word out now. Good night, Sue. See you soon. Okay, what is next, please?
Next is City Council and staff comments.
Mr. Sinania.
Yeah, I'm happy to announce that our holiday tree lighting ceremony is back. We haven't had one in, 3 years now? And that was a result of the economic downturn, the hard times, but with very minimal expense. It's costing the city about $2,000, Mr. Manager? Yes. We're going to have a holiday tree lighting ceremony. Kids love it, so please come by. We always have a great program, nice music, usually performed by children. So, I don't know, it's a worthwhile event. Please be there. Also, I want to ask staff to come up with language for an anti-discrimination, bullying, and hate speech resolution. And I think I need the support of one additional council member for that.
I'll support it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Quintero. And if you can bring that back, the language back, and we can... That'd be great. Thank you. That's it from me.
Do you have any other comments? Ms. Friedman?
This week I attended the grand opening of ProLace Laser Center's new facility, which if any of you drive down Pacific, above the 134, you'll know the old Blockbuster building that's been vacant for quite a while. They moved into that space and renovated it into medical office space. They're a medical provider, and it's absolutely beautiful. They've completely transformed the building. It's modern, it's comfortable. I'm sure it'll be very pleasant for their clients, and it's always wonderful to see a local business expand. And I think this is their third location within Glendale, and they must be doing something right because they just keep going bigger and bigger and bigger. So I wanted to wish them the best of luck with their new endeavor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Well, Ms. Friedman forgot, but we attended the Glendale, umpteenth annual Glendale Health Fair held
yes,
at
we
the
did.
Civic Auditorium, and it was very well attended this year. Thank you to many of the doctors from our local hospitals, staff from Glendale Adventist, and many other vendors, and the flu shots were the most popular item. There was a line almost around the entire floor of the Civic Auditorium. So I think it's a great event and really provided a lot of basic health care screening to many of our residents.
Okay, well, I got one. I promised my neighbor that I would read on TV because it's kind of different. Have you ever watched the TV series Homeland? Morena Barsaran gave birth to her baby in Glendale, at Glendale Adventist Hospital, and the reason I mentioned Dr. Ronald Wu, who did it, he's the only doctor in Los Angeles area who offers expectant mothers the option to birth a breech baby in a hospital. And she gave birth to an 8-pound baby. And that's my neighbor.
What's the reference to Homeland, the show?
She's on it.
Who's she on?
Moreno?
She's the main, yes. Oh, she's the main actress.
So congratulations, her and Dr. Wu for, well, she wanted to do it in hospital, wanted to do it the natural way, and he's the only guy that could do it. So I said, well, I'll mention it on TV. Okay, with that, what is next?
Mr. Mayor, actually, there's
sorry.
two announcements. I just want to briefly mention that this last weekend, the Crescenta Valley Glendale Red Cross had their comedy night fundraiser. It was a huge success, overflow audience. This was the event that's been hosted by Fritz Coleman for over 22 years now, and it was a fantastic show with some very premier comedians, and a great time it was had by all. I'm only bringing it up to remind people, again, to support their local Red Cross. And also, we have Karina Gregorian, who would like to make an announcement on behalf of the Glendale Youth Alliance, on behalf of staff.
Good evening, Mayor Weaver, council members. My name is Karina Gregorian. I'm with Community Services and Parks, Glendale Youth Alliance. I wanted to take this opportunity and invite our community to the second annual art exhibit fundraiser that the Glendale Youth Alliance will be holding this Thursday, November 7th, at the Glendale Forest Lawn Memorial Park. We're honored to have several of the council members that will be attending. It's going to be a great event. We've had a great response from the community. We should have a large turnout. All the proceeds from the event will go towards providing employment opportunities for low-income, disadvantaged youth within our community. Admission is free. Once again, it's November 7th, Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, Hall of Crucifixion Resurrection, and it's at 6 p.m. Hope to see all of you there. Thank you.
I don't know who put this out, but Bloomingdale's is opening this week, same day, 7th. Yeah, so everybody's invited. So if you want to go and see what Bloomingdale's looks like, that's your first chance. Okay, what is next, please?
Next is consent items following a routine may be acted upon by one motion. Any member of council or the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before a motion is proposed.
Okay, I have a speaker on 5C
I'll move the,
I'd also like separate consideration for 5D, Mr. Mayor.
and 5B.
with those two exceptions, I'll move the consent items.
Second.
Roll call.
Before we do that, that was 5D.
B and C.
D?
Boy,
No, it's D.
boy.
It's D. I
Oh,
requested D, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
D. Sorry.
5D. Thank you.
C and D.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Council members Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Caro,
Yes.
Nanyan,
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Please read 5C into the record.
5C is Director of Public Works regarding implementation of Glendale Bicycle Transportation Plan Phase 1 in connection with specification number 3521. C1 is a motion awarding a construction contract to Crisp Company in the amount of $45,170 and rejecting all other bids.
Okay, to repeat, this is a motion to award a construction contract to Crisp Company, the amount of $45,000 plus, for the implementation of Glendale Bicycle Transportation Plan Phase 1 and rejecting all of the bids. Mr. Mohill, Mike Mohill.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mike Mohill. I'm reading the staff report, and it says Glendale Bicycle Transportation Plan, spending $45,000 for bicycle transportation. I have only one question. How come there's no fee associated with this bicycle transportation? We asked the kids who use the skate park to pay $50 a year. We asked the smokers fees to have smoking fees, restaurant and dining fees. How come there's no fees for people who ride their bicycles in the city? Everybody else is paying fees. Are they special? That's my question. Thank you. My name is Mike Mohill.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Caro,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Please read 5D into the record.
5D is Chief of Police regarding State of California Office of Traffic Safety Grant Program for speed enforcement, distracted driving enforcement, motorcycle enforcement, and DUI saturation patrols. D1 is a motion accepting grant and authorizing participation. D2 is a resolution appropriating $228,000 for the program.
Thank you. Mr. Sinanian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Chief, for being here. Now, this issue of traffic and accidents involving pedestrians and motorists is like an open wound in our city. We have a stellar police record and only one blemish, which I'm not saying it's in any way caused by anything that the police department does or the city does, but there is that problem. And just today there was another incident, from what I understand, an old elderly lady with a grandchild were hit by an out of state, out of town driver. And I'm so glad that money's being allocated. I'm not to talk about as to why we're allocating more money towards this, but I just wanted to hear if we have like a solid plan of action, what we're doing to prevent these deaths from happening. Because again, we have to do what we have to do to regulate this situation. If we have to give out tickets like it's candy, when it's merited, of course, then we have to do that. I know that residents are going to be unhappy, whatever, but if we're preventing injuries and deaths, I think it's worth it. So if you
Absolutely.
could
And
update us.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, and thank you for giving us an opportunity to address this very important public safety issue in the city. And certainly this grant funding from the Office of Traffic Safety helps us immeasurably because we have defined resources, and with grant funding coming from the state, it allows us to expand our core mission of traffic safety. So that's extremely valuable to us. But we've always used an approach that looks at not only enforcement, but education and engineering as well. And as I've spoke to you before, we have a good relationship with our traffic engineering division, and not only look at structural design to address this issue, but also to do an extensive education campaign out in the community. But as you referenced, the thing that we find that changes driving behavior most significantly is when you issue a citation. And research bears that out, that is the most sure way to attain changes to driving behavior. And so that is a big part of what we do is targeted enforcement. We use a data-driven approach to focus on areas where we have the highest rate of accidents and violations occurring. And certainly in a city our size, you can expect that once we address a particular area, it's likely to pop up in another part of the city, and we have to move there. So having the agility and means to identify where the problems are occurring and getting out there and using a strong enforcement approach is going to pay dividends. Currently, I know we've had some significant incidents here recently, but when you look through the 3 quarters of the fiscal year, we're right about even where we were last year in terms of pedestrian accidents. Now, that's still not good. We want that trend line to be going down. But to do that, again, we're going to need the partnership of the community. We're going to need people to work with us in creating the awareness. Obviously, the biggest concern is with our pedestrians and the vehicles that tend not to see them in a variety of different situations. So enhancing that awareness of our driving public and our pedestrians is a critical component as well.
And these funds will be used for that purpose, enhancing the awareness and public education and all
Yes, and a big portion of this funding will go to allowing us to staff specific targeted enforcement efforts. But the nice thing about this grant is that it addresses a wide array of different areas, from speed enforcement to distracted driving to some DUI saturation patrols. And so it gives us a pretty valuable tool in addressing a wide variety of different areas. But the bottom line, it's looking to address bad driving behavior and to educate the public about the safety issues related to being a responsible pedestrian in the city.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
I know I have one card. Mike Mohill, 2 minutes.
Evening, Council, and ladies and gentlemen in the viewing audience. When I listen to the chief, he says he wishes he had more staff, more policemen on the street that would help in traffic enforcement of any nature. The problem is we don't have the money. So where's all the money going to? It's called the pensions. We got $30 million a year in pensions. We have as many retirees as we have active duty people.
Stop the clock. Mr. Mohill, you're back on the pensions again. Every single topic that you get up here to talk on always revolves back to the pensions. This is money accepting grant, and it's appropriating the money for the program. Address that, not the pensions.
Well, the chief said that if we had
I'm just
more
listening.
people on the street,
Yes, but
we
then
can
you're
enforce it.
you're drawing a conclusion that we don't have enough on the street because of the pensions.
I'm saying, where is all the money? Where is all the money, Mayor?
No, don't
It's all
address
tied
where
up.
the money is. Are you approving of the grant or not?
Of course I'm approving for the
Thank
grant.
you. Thank you.
But I'd like
Goodbye.
to know, like up in the city itself, from
Goodbye.
the general fund,
Goodbye.
find some money for this law
You're
enforcement.
done.
Thank you. Name is Mike Mohill.
I'll move the item if there are no more
Is there a
questions.
second? Roll call.
Council members: Friedman. Yes. Najarian.
Yes.
Quintero.
Yes.
Sinanian.
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Next, please.
Next item is oral communications. This is the portion reserved for the 3-minute community event announcements. We will revisit the full 5-minute portion, item 6, again at the conclusion of all city business.
Okay, first speaker, Sharon Wiseman.
I'm sorry.
3 minutes.
Set 3
Glendale,
minutes on
who's
it?
speaking for Glendale Health? Okay, it wasn't your handwriting. Somebody wrote in your name because they saw Sharon.
Different Sharon. I'm actually here to say thank you.
No, your name first.
Sharon Townsend, Glendale Healthy Kids. I apologize. I'm here to say thank you. It was a great day, a great day in Glendale on Saturday. I want to thank Councilman Najarian, Friedman, and City Manager Scott Ochoa for attending the Glendale Health Festival. This year, the Armenian Medical Society, Glendale Healthy Kids, Glendale Memorial Hospital, and Glendale Adventist combined to provide over 1,500 units of service. Over 1,500 people, standing room only, attended this health festival. The Lions Club conducted over 625 vision screenings. Of those 625 screenings, 400 failed and were given further consultation with the volunteer optometrist. Over 700 people were able to get free blood tests, and over 325 free flu shots were provided. Next week, Dr. Momjan will be here to provide further data and statistics of the units that were serviced at the next council meeting. I'd also like to thank you because I believe this council believes in the health and the good health and well-being of this city. This Thursday, the Glendale Healthier Coalition is celebrating its 20th anniversary. The Tom Miller Awards. I know Sam Engel was here last week to tell you about that, but I invite you to attend that. Mayor Weaver, you beat me to it. Bloomingdale's is actually opening for the public on Friday, but you were invited to a preview, and this is your ticket for Thursday from 10 to 10. There's 2 tickets in here. It'll get you on the door, and if you turn in those tickets, you'll get a $25 gift card. So thank you
What's
again.
the difference between that and Friday? Because I got it at home, too.
Well, if you're a
Anybody?
Bloomingdale card holder, you got this in the mail. But this is your ticket for Thursday. Thursday is a private preview day. And then Friday is actually the opening for the public.
Okay, people at home. All right.
Okay.
Messed up. Friday.
That's okay.
Don't
Thank
show
you
up.
very much.
Unless you have that ticket in there.
There's more if you need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Leon Mayer, 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor Weaver, members of the council and staff. My name is Leon Mayer, and I'm here on behalf of the Friends of the Library and the library to tell you about the events we're doing in November at the Glendale Central Library. I'll tell you in advance, parking is validated. You park across the street from the library, and you're validated for 3 hours. Now, we have 2 interesting programs. First of all, the Attacking Ocean, the past, present, and future of rising sea levels, with Brian Fagan, Emeritus Professor of Anthropology at the UC Santa Barbara. And he takes us on a fascinating, lavishly illustrated journey through history that tells the story of how humans have faced the challenge of rising sea levels over the past 10,000 years. And he'll also have a slide show for you, which is very interesting. And he will tell us what are the lessons for today's warming world because of the vanishing landscapes and extreme weather events that cause storm surges and cyclones. And how do we cope with the impending problems? He'll tell us all about that, and it's a very interesting program. And Brian Fagan was born in England. He was educated at Cambridge. He has a PhD and an MA there. He worked in Central Africa, and he's not only a professor of anthropology, but he's also a historian. So come if you can make it. It's very interesting, and we urge you to take advantage of this opportunity. Now, and that is November 13th, a week from tomorrow. Now, also, on the light side, we're having a famous comedian and comedy writer by the name of David Mish. David Mish has movie credits for Mork and Mindy, Saturday Night Live, and The Muppets. And that's just a couple of the things he's done. And David Mish, his book is called The History of Ha, Comedy from Ancient Tricksters to Modern Family. And he is just too much. And you'll enjoy him, and you enjoy a little lighter side of life after hearing from Dr. Fagan about the real stuff that society is facing. Again, that is Monday, November 25th. Everything is free at the library. We urge you to take advantage of this. I've already passed around flyers. Raise your hand if you haven't got a flyer yet and you're interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leon. Right on time. Very good. Okay, what is next, please?
Next item on the agenda at 7A is ordinance amending Title 5 and 8 of the Glendale Municipal Code 1995, establishing a smoking permitted area license. This was introduced on October 29, 2013 by Councilmember Quintero.
And we had a full discussion on this last week. I do have a speaker. Mike Mohill, 2 minutes.
Good evening, council members and the viewing audience. Here we go again, folks. Fees, old fees and new fees. Now it's fees for smoking. Why? We are business unfriendly. I'm going to read out of the Glendale News Press. A man by the name of Kevin Asaki, owner of Gaucho Village. He said he was tired of the city fees. He says every day they come with fees, fees, and fees. The economy is still suffering, he asked. How we can be business friendly when we keep asking the merchants to pay these fees? The hotels, the restaurants, the car dealerships. This is what you call being a business friendly city? These merchants have to pass the fee on to their customers. And if I have to decide which place to go, I'm going to go where it's less expensive. Fees and more fees, ladies and gentlemen. That's the city of Glendale. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second? Roll call.
Councilmembers Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Quintero,
Yes.
Sinanian. Yes. Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Next, please.
Under action items, 8A is Director of Human Resources and Fire Chief regarding resolution providing for supplementary benefits and compensation of certain officers of the City of Glendale to supplement the classification and compensation resolution of said city and amending the Glendale Municipal Code relating to compensation and fringe benefits. 8A1 is a resolution for approval, ambulance operators.
Joel, can you tell us briefly what this is?
Yes, sir. Anticipating the Affordable Care Act coming in this year, staff had set aside, council had budgeted for the provision of medical benefits to certain hourly workers who met the criteria, basically over 30 hours. That requirement has been pushed back a year. However, we are recommending that in one instance, with respect to our hourly EMTs working in the fire department, who work almost exclusively with sick people, that we actually follow through with the provision of the medical benefit to them. This would be targeted at the Kaiser HMO rate of $440, and we would pay 50% of that. $440 a month, we pay $220 a month for that. We anticipate that about 48 of the employees would be qualified for it. We have those funds sitting aside, and we are asking that you make the appropriate resolution for that. The anticipated cost is about $63,000 in this current fiscal year. If you have any questions, both Mr. Doyle, Ms. Basurdo, our benefits manager, and Chief Scoggins are here.
Okay, I do have one speaker.
I'll move 8A1.
I'll second it.
Okay, and the speaker, Mike Mohill, 2 minutes.
Good evening, council members and the viewing audience. My name is Mike Mohill. The resolution tonight for supplementary benefits is for the Paramedics Engine Basic Life Support Ambulance Operator Program, BLS. These part-time employees will now have access to the city's medical insurance for said hourly employees and partial payment of monthly medical insurance premiums. Staff has given the council 3 options. 1, to approve the ambulance operator health care proposal. 2, to deny it. And 3, city council may consider any other alternative not proposed by staff. I believe we should choose option 3, have a private ambulance service like AMR, be our primary medical provider. AMR, American Medical Response, is a private ambulance service that provides services in 38 states, ladies and gentlemen, 38 states. Prior to the year of 2000, Glendale used AMR, and it's only cost the city less than $500,000 a year. In 1998, former city manager Jim Starber stated we could save money by moving from a private ambulance service to the Glendale Fire Department EMT program. Council concurred. In the past 10 years, Glendale Fire Department EMT program has cost the taxpayers well over $5.5 million each year, continuing to grow as one can see in tonight's current resolution. Where are the savings, council members? Fire Chief Scoggins has stated that nearly 88% of fire calls are medical and not structural or wildfires. I believe, should council approve the above resolution, Glendale Firefighters Association will probably come back again, asking these new employees eventually become part of their union with pension benefits. Thank you. My name is Mike Mohill.
It's been moved and seconded.
Yeah,
Mr.
and I just
Quintero.
want to comment, this item is about quality of care, and there is no way that the revolving door in these private companies will ever match the service that our paramedics and fire department provide.
There's no more comment. Roll call.
Council members: Friedman,
Yes.
Jarian, Quintero,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Weaver.
Aye. Next, please.
Item 8B is city attorney regarding amendment to various terms and definitions of the city's campaign finance ordinance for the purpose of governing the campaign fundraising periods for special elections. B1 is an ordinance for introduction.
And I guess this is just to cover the fact that there is an out-of-turn election.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor, if I may. As the city clerk and I were going through the items that we need to do to get ready for the June 2014 election, which will be a special election to be consolidated with the statewide primary. One of the first things that Mr. Kasakian pointed out was that our election cycle and our time to repay debt are both tied to just the general municipal election date. So this is just a simple code amendment to change those, to tie them to any time we have a special election to fill a council seat, that these particular provisions would apply in those cases. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions regarding the language.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are we still having an item brought back to us with revisions? Because I thought this was going to be that. So when I read the item.
Oh, no, yes, we will. And I anticipate either at the end of this year or first thing next year. But this was a critical item going forward. Yes, so absolutely.
Ordinance for introduction.
Since I will not be running for office in this election for my temporary assignment, I'll introduce the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Quintero. What is next, please?
Next item at 8C is City Attorney regarding report of findings in support of overturning the Design Review Board's decision and denying application number PDR 1234093 for property located at 4201 Pennsylvania Avenue. C1 is a motion denying the application.
I'll move C1.
Second.
Jefferson, roll call.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. Were there any cards?
No?
Okay.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Point of vest. John Rixton.
Just for the record, Mr. Mayor, the hearing's been closed, so the issue is whether the issue to be discussed are the issues of the findings, not the merits of the appeal itself.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John Reekston with the Olson Company. Appreciate the opportunity to just say a few words. My understanding of the action that the council is taking this evening is to uphold an appeal of a Design Review Board decision. The scope of those findings, my understanding, are limited to the architecture, the aesthetics of the community, specifically massing and scale, which are the two key elements that are pointed out in your attached motion this evening. In talking about massing and scale, we're not talking about building height or the number of units. The zoning for the site sets the designation for building height. Our proposal is below that building height, and we're well below the number of units permitted. 39 units are permitted. We're proposing 30. So really what's at issue is the architecture. There are a few variances that have been approved in terms of property rights. Those variances relate to the floor area ratio, which sets the envelope for how many square feet can be built within those 30 units. That's been approved, and those are in place for 2 years. The parking and the building setbacks have all been approved at our property rights within the site. So really what's at issue is the architecture, and Olson is happy and anxious to modify the project architecture to deal with the massing and scale issues, which is at issue this evening. And what we'd like to ask is for specific direction from the council, because we are going to be meeting with the neighbors. We have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. If we can get specific direction on the architecture, then hopefully we can reach an agreement and get back to the Design Review Board quickly. My understanding is that the quickest way to do that would be if the council were to consider continuing this item and remanding it back to the Design Review Board with specific direction on the architecture. We can then, or with just specific direction, we can then meet with the community, go back to design review, change the architecture, make it more in keeping with a more traditional element or a Spanish architecture, deal with those flat roof lines, deal with the bulky massing, give it a Spanish look, perhaps something that's much more acceptable to the neighborhood. But did just want to clarify that massing and scale relate to architecture, roof lines, the way buildings move in and out, not to the height of the building or to the number of units, which are all set within the zoning for the property. So just wanted to clarify that, request your specific direction, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if
Yes.
I may, just one clarification or one correction. The height of the building actually is under the purview of the Design Review Board. The Design Review Board, or the City Council acting as the Design Review Board, does have the ability to trump the zoning in terms of the height if it feels that the height is not compatible with the neighborhood. I'm not saying that's the case here. I'm just clarifying what the authority that the City Council or the Design Review Board has in that context, and the staff can explain that to you.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm not sure if the council is inclined to hear or take up the request, but I'd have some procedural issues with it if the council wanted to take. The only action on the only item on your agenda is to approve the findings, which approved the appeal and denied the project. So.
Well, it won't be me since I supported the project.
Correct. So, I don't think the council could continue it. I mean, I don't think the council could remand it tonight. I think you can only continue it. And if you want to have that further discussion in the future, you might have to have a limited hearing to have those issues. I thought the council spoke pretty loud and clear at the last hearing, and so that's why the findings are before you.
And there's nothing to prevent the applicant from filing a new project.
That's correct.
Design as well.
And essentially, it would be the same thing if you're sending back to whether you're remanding it or they apply again. It's the same. It's the same effect of going back to DRB.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion and a second's been made.
Motion's been made.
Motion and second been made,
There
Mr.
was
Mayor.
a motion and a second.
Oh, sorry. Okay, roll call.
Council members: Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Darrow,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
No. What is next, please?
Item D is Director of Community Development and Fire Chief regarding amendment to various sections of California Building Standards Code as Glendale Building and Safety Code 2014. D1 is ordinance for introduction, and D2 is a resolution adopting findings and analysis of amendments to the CBSC Title 24 CC4.
Mr. Ochoa.
Yes, sir. Every 3 years, we come back to you with updates on the building code and the fire code. They generally look at administrative fire safety, life safety, and grading issues. There have been the customary tweaks to all of these various areas. And this go-around, if you have any specific questions for building official Stuart Tom or Jeff Halpert in our fire department plan check section, either gentleman can answer those for you.
I read every page over the weekend. That's a joke from this afternoon. Okay, are there any questions? Is there a motion? So wait. It's an ordinance for introduction,
D1.
I'll introduce the ordinance at D1
and then,
and then make the motion, resolution at D2.
okay, thank you. Roll call.
Seconds.
Second.
Council members: Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Quintero,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Hi, thank you for coming. Okay, what's next?
9 is Director of Community Development regarding proposed amendments to Title 2, 5, 16, and 30 of Glendale Municipal Code 1995 and DSP related to streamlining of planning entitlements in order to increase consistency, clarity, and quality in Glendale's planning and neighborhood service application, review and regulation processes, and adoption of new fees associated with the amendment. This item will be continued to November 19, 2013 regular City Council meeting to be held at 6 p.m. without further public notice.
Okay,
We need a motion to that effect, Mr. Mayor.
is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members: Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Quintero,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Hi. Next, please.
Item before you now is the full 5-minute portion of the oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision, and City Manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for investigation and report.
Thank you. First speaker is Brad Wright. Oh, goodness. Did you play football?
Actually, I played for UCLA, the New York Knicks, the Denver Nuggets. Does this count as my minutes?
No.
I check, okay? I would check.
I'm a Trojan.
It's okay. As I always say, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Brad Wright. First of all, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Council. A lot of you might remember my wife and I from last year. We adopted my child, Melanie, here, and we had a circus here in your community where we had over 1,373 kids in foster care, as well as kids that were less fortunate. This year we'll be doing it again. Last year my wife decided instead of buying a car, we were going to buy a circus for the kids. And we thought, what better place than Glendale? Within 10 days we raised over $50,000. And we had kids here, and we were national, and Glendale's been incredible. 2015 we're making a bid for the Rose Parade float to have the first foster parade float ever for foster kids. This year we decided to put another show on, and we ran into Mr. Onik Marabian of Glendale Kia, who became our major sponsor, and he's helped us out. We really appreciate it. We started a 501c3, a nonprofit, and it's called CARE. Please do not confuse that with Obamacare. When I say something, believe me, it's going to happen. They say in Obamacare, you need till the end of November for this website. We need, in the next 13 days, to have a circus here, but I keep my promises, unlike certain people. So our CARE is a children adoption resource enterprise, and that's what we're about. There's an issue here that's come to my attention. By the way, I should mention, the Ramos Brothers Circus, we bought the circus for one show last year. I'm now a part owner of the Ramos Brothers Circus. The issue here is animals. We have camels, we have zebras, we have llamas, we have horses, we have dogs. And I respect all animal rights groups, as I'm a big supporter. But some people within the groups, they have different thoughts. Something we've done, the USDA requires an annual permit to show animals on a one-year basis. To obtain a permit, all animals must be checked by a veterinarian and make sure that all vaccinations and they have a clean bill of health. Well, we have that clean bill of health. The USDA makes inspections every 3 to 6 months. Since I've taken over ownership, I've invited them to come at any time. State agencies also verify, they must also verify that animals are also in good health before they give us permits to work in the state. Animal control comes out to the site to inspect the animals and
He's an SE guy.
And verify that the animals, I only have a couple of minutes, and animals have proper shelter and water before they're allowed to perform in the city. I make sure that our animals are taken care of. Some of the inspectors come to stay and watch. They see how the animals perform. They also inspect to see how they're treated. We ask that they come anytime. I have noticed that we call heroes, as you were saying, athletes. I'm not a hero. Let me tell you who a real hero is, a real American. And he goes by the name of Supervisor Mike Antonovich, who's become a mentor to me. He spent a lot of time with me. He's really educated me. And one thing he's called for, a call to arms for us to help out foster children. What better way can I do this than to have a circus for all the kids? Another thing, Glendale is the birthplace. We've been on national TV. We were on CNN last year, Glendale. National television for the things we're doing for kids. We're going to have 5,000 kids attending our shows this year here in Glendale. That's all on us in Kia. And if you go to our website, they can go on in one day, not 5. We're CARE, but we're the Children Adoption Resource Enterprise, not that other Obamacare thing. We're the CARE where things happen. We will definitely make things happen. We're answering that call to arms. We love Glendale. We want to make sure that this is a circus for Glendale, and we sure definitely want to make sure that everything works out right. We'll answer any questions. Anybody from any groups have something to say, they can come to me. I won't hurt them. And the thing is, the kids are what's most important. Kids love animals. Our animals are not mistreated. We just run them around the circle. It's a good petting zoo. If I may, we will make sure that we do not embarrass our kids or the city of Glendale. And with that, I'd really like to thank all the people that support us, Mr. McRobian, and your council, your city, the citizens. This is what it's about, giving to the kids, and the first line is here, not Hollywood. We don't need to do this in Hollywood. We are Hollywood. We make the first step towards kids, and that's what we're going to do. And with that, I'd like to thank the council for seeing me, and that's basically my request for. Wasn't there a clown here?
No, sir.
That's basically my request for the council, and I thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much.
My grandkids went last year.
Great, and you'll please come again this year.
I love your wife's cardinal dress and her gold purse.
One other thing, too. We have a police chief that will be leaving, and one of our goals is I'd like to have a show, a goodbye show for the police chief, as he's a real hero. He's given to the community. So I'm asking for the community to come out to the show. And for once, let's be heroes for the heroes, which is our police department. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Not going to debate you. Okay. Okay, let's see if Mike Mohill can follow that.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, the date. And my glasses aren't on, so I can't see that fine. The date will be for the kids, the first show for our kids within DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, Essentia, Ronald McDonald House, and Dave Thomas Foundation, will be on the 17th of November. That's the 17th. That'll be Sunday. That'll be our first show, and then we'll have subsequent shows for other kids and other people we can do things for.
Thank you very much.
This is 1401 Verdugo. It's right across from Glendale College. So we will be there, and we'll have a band there. We look forward to having you there. Thank you very much for your time again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nobody prepped you, eh? All on your own. Okay, Mike Mohill, can't follow that one. Followed by Lynn Myers.
Bring the mic down a little bit. Good evening, council members. My name is Mike Mohill. Recently, I have brought up the politics of the Glendale Firefighters Association and its relationship with our elected council members. One council member even had the audacity to say that I was heartless and a monster for challenging the structure of the Glendale Fire Department EMT program. The same council member had his brother tell an anecdotal story about his incident with the Glendale Fire Department paramedics and said a private ambulance service was nothing more than a taxi. Furthermore, council members stated that my wife, trip and fall, needed the services of Glendale Fire Department medical services. This was not true. It all started the evening when it was reported that 3,200 online application for 15 firefighter positions was received in Glendale. Candidate must pass a written test and subject to a background investigation. No college degree would be required. Starting salary would be $68,000 with the promise $100,000 lifetime pension at age 55. This information our mayor could not believe was the reason why thousands of unemployed, including those with BAs and master's degrees, applied for such a lucrative job with security and great benefits. Fire Chief Scoggin acknowledged that between 85 and 88% of fire calls are medical in nature and not structural or wildfires. Councilwoman Laura Freeman asked our fire chief, was there any difference in training between a private ambulance service EMT training and one provided by the Glendale Fire Department? The fire chief stated, absolutely no difference. Being a firefighter is hazardous, but according to the Department of Labor statistic, it is not listed as top 10 most dangerous jobs. The downing of the Twin Towers in New York City was a tragedy. Why does this council always look for the sympathy vote for the firefighters when they bring up 9/11, knowing those New York City firefighters were in neighborhoods of nearly 100-story high buildings and not a suburban city like Glendale? Their continued reference to those dead firefighters is an insult to their memories and their loved ones. If our council members are ready to give real praises to real heroes, then the men and women who served in the combat zones of Afghanistan and Iraq should be the ones receiving those $100,000 lifetime pensions. Why are Glendale firefighters whose main duties are medical related still commanding 90% of their last year's salary as their pension for life? About 10 years ago, when the city of Glendale was using a private ambulance service, AMR, the taxpayer were spending less than $500,000 annually. Our previous city manager stated, and council concurred, that by switching to Glendale Fire Department EMT program, the taxpayer could save money. Today, the Glendale taxpayers are paying way over $5 million for the Glendale Fire Department EMT program. We need to immediately consider going back to a private ambulance service, Social Security, and a 401k plan for our firefighters. Is it fair to struggling families, to students, to seniors, to small merchants to ask them to continue to pay the excessive salaries and pensions of our firefighters? The Firefighters Association, to you, gentlemen, the community advocates everywhere are telling the public every time there is a water and electric rate increases, every time old fees and new fees are created, every time new bonds and taxes are passed, those fees and taxes are going to pay for your multi-million-dollar lifetime pensions. Your hero label is being tarnished, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want that to be your legacy? When I last spoke and asked legitimate questions about the politics of the Glendale Fire Department Association, our mayor brushed me off, telling me to speak with our finance director. Ladies and gentlemen, I've tried to inform, to educate. Now it's your turn to write to the newspapers and come before the city council and voice your outrage. If you do nothing, then the fire union and their lapdog council members will again be the winners. Thank you. My name is Mike Mohill.
Lynn Myers, followed by Shane Lee.
Good evening, Mayor Weaver, council members and staff, and the public. My name is Lynn Myers. 6 months have now come and gone, and lest anyone might think the issue will go away, I am here to make it abundantly clear that it will not. To that end, I am hearing that the admitted racist and vile bigot Zara Sananian, who scammed his way to the big chair on the dais by way of lies and deceit, is now known far and wide by way of hits on the website zarasananian.blogspot.com, a website chronicling a timeline of his hate speech, lies, fraud, accusations, deceit, and subterfuge as a council member in the city of Glendale, California, a monument of his own design. Every person in this city who has any integrity at all surely knows that Mr. Sananian should not be sitting as a city council member, nor should he ever be seated in any public office. But since it looks like he will boldly and brazenly sit there, I would encourage one and all to make the website zarasananian.blogspot.com their go-to page for all things Zara. Recently, there was an article in the Crescenta Valley Weekly quoting the executive director of the Glendale branch of the Armenian National Committee, the ANC, who praised the recent council decision to augment improvements at Brand Library and accept the proposed addition of a wing honoring victims of the Armenian genocide. Ironically, this appears to be the very same political organization that supported Council Member Zara Sananian, who is now Glendale's face of hate, bigotry, and racism. Concerning the Comfort Memorial, let it be known that Council Member Zara Sananian is the vile racist and misogynist who posted a trail of hate on the internet, referencing women in deeply offensive and vulgar language. Some of these comments can be viewed on the website zarasananian.blogspot.com.
Mr. Mayor, just give me a second. I'm going to respond to this. Ms. Myers, you were saying every person with integrity. Well, you're not one of those. You're a well-known entity in this city. You're a well-known commodity. You're a well-known racist, well-known haters of Armenians, of Mexicans, of anyone that's different from you. So it'll be a cold day in hell before I take criticism from you. And the only reason you keep citing that blog spot is because people know me. And people don't go to your blog spots, and they don't read them, and you're just trying to create traction. So good luck to you.
Yeah, you do that. Thank you. Good night. Chang Lee, followed by Jo Chim Young. I'm not sure if I got that right.
Good evening, Mayor Weaver, council members, and the city staff. My name is Chang Lee. I'm with Korea Glendale Sister City Association. I'm here this evening with members of our community, Korean American community, to convey a belated thank you to our council members that who have taken a bold step, a courageous step to recognize, to uphold a correct reflection of the history, and also to honor those women who have suffered through the atrocity of the war crime, and to erect the memorial in the Central Park. This is a human rights issue, and you have done the right thing to erect this peace statue. So we really thank you. You have also designated Korean Comfort Women Day in honor of those women. So, this decision was not easy, but you have supported the human rights issue, and you have voted to place this monument in the park. So we really thank you. In recent weeks, though, there have been some mixed messages coming from the city, especially from the mayor's office, through Japanese media, that the decisions that this council has made was a mistake, that the actual account of the history was questionable. We're very disappointed. Our community was very appreciative of what the city did, but then to hear this type of messages coming from the city was very disturbing. I ask this council to stand by your decision, support the decision, and also be unison in your messages so that there is no confusion out there. What this confusion does is that this is not a conflict between communities. This is not conflict between the countries, but this is a purely human rights issue and a correct account of the history. Yet, when we hear this type of messages, it suggests the otherwise. I'd like to especially taking this opportunity to thank Councilmember Laura Freeman, Arlen Nazarian, Zara Snin, and Mr. Frank Quintero for supporting this issue, and we hope that you continue to support this issue for years to come. Thank you very much.
Next speaker, Jim Young, followed by Brooke Gear Person.
Dear Mr. Mayor and City Council members, we'd like to express our deep gratitude and reverence towards the members of Glendale City Council for their brave and righteous decision to erect a peace monument in memory of victims of sexual slavery. We are deeply grateful about the fact that those who have visited and prayed for the monument have made it possible for Glendale to become known throughout the world as a proud, righteous city, as well as the site of true education that will rectify the fading history and urge the next generation members of society not to repeat such an evil crime. We understand that, unfortunately, the current mayor, Mr. Dave Weaver, has not been able to sufficiently study the history behind this particular tragedy. To assist him, we have prepared some materials, including the history of Comfort Woman and related newspaper articles, record evidences, and plus the actual text of House Resolution 121, which was passed unanimously by the House of Representatives back in 2007, and a document that was used by the Congress to pass the examination. We are certain that these materials will show you just how significant Glendale's monument decision really was. Although it is the mayor's right to express his personal opinion on any issues, we sincerely ask that he may exercise caution when expressing personal views on a matter that had been through the proper and official channels in the city so as not to compromise its reputation. The Korean American community views the monument decision of the city of Glendale with utmost trust and respect, and will continue to watch for the development with the hope that this monument shall never be dishonored in future. Thank you very much.
Speaker Brooke Gear Person, followed by, I don't know if I'll pronounce it right, Young Bin Lim.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Brooke Gear-Person. I'm the Executive Director of the Glendale Transportation Management Associates. The Glendale TMA is a private nonprofit organization working with the businesses in Glendale to make sure that Glendale is a multi-mobility city with lots of options for people who work here. I have been with the Glendale TMA for 17 years. It is now time for me to move on, and I would like to introduce the council to Erica Knapp. She has over 6 years of TMA experience in both Beaverton and Denver, Colorado. I am sending out to everybody a short bio on her and her experience. She will also be assisted by Stuart Anderson, who is has his master's degree from USC in planning. He has worked in the Southern California area for over 10 years, and I think that we have a great team that's coming over for the TMA. And so I'd like to introduce Erica to you. I'm sure that there will be lots of great things coming from her and Stuart. Thank you.
And thank you, Brooke. And I just want to say that on behalf of Stuart and myself, I really look forward to working with you guys in the community of Glendale. So thanks.
Thank you. That's Ms. Friedman.
I just want to say, Brooke, I'm sorry to see you go. It's been a pleasure working with you. You've done a lot of great things in the city, and Erica, welcome. I look forward to getting to know you better.
Thank you.
Wish you well.
Next speaker, Young Min Lim. Hope I said that right. Did I say it right?
Min Lim, sir.
I tried.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mr. Mayor and City Council members, thank you very much allow me to stand over here tonight. When I heard on the newspaper report on Japanese news, Mr. Honorable Mayor Glendale, we were told Japanese media that he regrets installation of the Comfort Woman Memorial. If it's true, it broke my heart. I want to ask Mr. Weaver, have you ever visited the memorial in the Central Park? Have you read the writing that explains what it means with her snatched hair, closed fist, lift feet? If you have not, I beg you to visit the memorial once and read what it says on the text. I also want to ask you, can you just imagine just once, what if you were your own daughter or niece who went through this horrible tragedy? No one should suffer from this kind of abuse, no matter if it is Korean, American, Japanese, Chinese. It doesn't matter who you are. We must make sure that this kind of crime doesn't happen again. We should not turn our faces away and act like nothing has happened. Having that memorial, we can remind ourselves and our kids that horrible things can happen during a war, especially to women and children. And I think it is our responsibility to prevent this kind of horrible tragedy again. Thank you, Chairman.
Next speaker is Phyllis Kim, followed by Juan Cho.
Good evening, Mayor Weber and City Council members. My name is Soo Im, and I'm reading a statement on behalf of Mr. Harold C. Kamea, who is a member of San Fernando Valley chapter of Japanese American Citizens League. Dear Mayor Weber and City Council members, it is unfortunate that the Korean comfort woman sculpture has created the controversy existing among the Japanese and Korean media. I had previously expressed my desire for the Japanese government to admit to the atrocity of the Nanjing massacre, the confirmed women slavery and trafficking, and other World War II crimes. The attempt of the current Japanese government officials to sanitize the Second World War crimes reflect badly on Americans of Japanese ancestry, though we are separated by several generations from the immigrant experience. In the United States, Americans of Japanese ancestry were unjustly incarcerated during the Second World War. As a result of those injustices and as a result of the national turmoil experienced during the Vietnam War and succeeding war, we feel free to criticize our government whenever justified. Freedom of speech and thought has resulted in a stronger or more vibrant nation, I feel. My belief is that most vocal critics against the sculpture are from people born in Japan. The culture and upbringing made the preservation of the image of their country of paramount importance, higher even than upholding the honor of one's family name. These far-right Japanese nationalists are also responsible for efforts to sanitize their history book regarding World War II atrocities. Please note that although the voices of opposition to the sculpture were prominent, I have not heard anyone attacking the veracity of the UN Commission on Human Rights report, nor the reports of the Congressional Research Service that supported the House of Representatives Bill HR 121. In Japan, I have been told that there is support for the plight of the comfort woman. There is a small comfort woman museum in suburb of Tokyo, according to an article in the Japan Times. There is also the progressive political faction in Japan that feels that it is important for the youth of Japan to know the horrors of war, as an entire generation in Japan has never experienced it. One of the progressive leaders is attorney Takashi Niimi. The Los Angeles Times archive has a report from the 1990s where attorney Takashi Niimi came to the U.S. with two elderly Japanese army veterans who wanted to disclose their role in Nanjing and etc. Ironically, the elderly soldiers were denied entry because they are still on the list of the war criminals. There is no morality in international relations, said historian Ira Pfister. He asserts that countries do whatever they wish to do with the power and influence under their control. That may be so, but it is unfortunate that words of compassion, empathy, and justice have not been heard from critics of the comfort woman sculpture. Respectfully submitted, Harold C. Kamea, member of the San Fernando Valley chapter of Japanese American Citizen League. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Juan Cho, followed by Kyun Wang.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Weaver, Councilman Freeman, Councilman Najarian, Councilman Sinanian, and Councilman Quintero. I am Won Choi. I am the media coordinator of Korean American from California, the organization that worked with the city of Glendale to install the Comfort Women Monument. I want to take this opportunity to appreciate every council member for your decision of installing the monument. And let me tell you why. I often stop by the monument about once a week. And every time I visit there, I see new flowers with the fresh water. I see teddy bears on the empty chair. And I just saw a scarf around the girl's neck. One day, I saw a family there. I guess I couldn't tell exactly, but I guess they were either Vietnamese or Taiwanese. The parents were explaining to his son about the comfort woman history in their own language, reading the panels next to the girl. As we all know, this is part of their history too. And last weekend, I made a visit to the monument again, and I could meet several children and their teacher from the local church. They were learning about what happened to the girl, why her fists are tight, and then why there's an empty chair, why she is sad, and then why this tragedy should not happen again. And they were drawing the monument on their little paper, drawing the tears on her face. With the monument, Glendale is educating our children about what tragedy a war brings and why human rights must be protected. They are learning to be a better citizens, and they are learning to care for the human rights. Also, the diverse people of Glendale now have their chance to visit the monument to learn about the history that needs to be remembered. Sakura TV that interviewed Mayor Weaver was trying to turn this issue into the conflict between Korea and Japan. As a media coordinator of KAFC, I have encountered many such attempts in past few months. And I am well aware what they're trying to do is to steal people's attention from the real cause of this issue. The monument is installed to remember and honor the victims. The monument was installed because the city of Glendale values human rights and stands against all sexual violences against women. Please do not distort the true intention of the city of Glendale. KAFC is getting support from Japanese American community groups such as NCRR and JACL, as you just heard. Not only Koreans, but citizens from diverse community, Vietnam, China, America, Armenia, and Japan, and a lot more, are being united here in Glendale. So honorable council members and citizens of Glendale, I thank you again for the Comfort Women Monument, which will celebrate its 100th day of installation tomorrow. And please keep in mind, United States House of Representatives who passed H.R. 121, citizens of Glendale, and all the people around the world who advocate human rights do support you and your city. Thank you so much for your night.
Thank you. Kyun Wang, followed by Bob Engel.
I'm Kun Hwang. Thank you for giving me the chance tonight. I am proud to be an American citizen, especially of a country that values human rights as their first priority. In particular, the city of Glendale is displaying a great act of humanity. This city has built a monument honoring women's right to recognize the victims of military sexual slavery by Japan. There are still many in ignorance of this issue, but once known, it will be difficult to deny this honorable act of Glendale. I'm the owner of the video shop. I made a donation box to support the building of this monument in my shop, and I explained to my customers about this issue. So lots of customers said that they never heard about that before. But later, they supported and donated. Especially 100% of all females donated in support. Some women donated not only for themselves, but also in honor of their moms and daughters. My hope is that Glendale City will become recognized globally and become a tourist hotspot. Due to the building of this monument, Glendale City has become well known in Korea. I heard that some of tourists from Korea visiting Los Angeles want to see this historical monument in Glendale City. I was once a resident in Glendale, and both my daughters were born here. Now they grew up and left our home. It is my desire to come back to live here in this honorable city, Glendale. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bob Engel, followed by Dale Chang.
Good evening. My name is Bob Engel. Good evening, Mr. Nigerian, honorable councilmen and people. And I would like to thank Mr. Steve Altanian for sponsoring me from ATS Tires in Redondo Beach. What I hear is, by way of introduction, I'm a former professor of chemistry in the Republic of China, where I spent 5 years. I know about this issue. One thing that I sense is that the people who wanted to remove that monument are trying to make this thing into, well, it's Japanese, it's Japanese Americans. No, this has nothing to do with Japanese Americans. This has nothing to do with Yoko Ono. This has nothing to do with anything else except Japanese imperialism. Japanese imperialism, which attempted to establish the Far East Asian prosperity sphere in Asia during World War II, has a track record that makes the Hitlerite invasion of Russia seem like child's play. It makes the Turkish atrocities during the Armenian genocide look like nothing. And I have here, for example, the rape of Nanking, where over 300,000 Chinese were murdered in a two-day orgy of violence by the Japanese Imperial Army, which was so unapologetic that they made home movies and made postcards of what they were doing. At least the Germans had attempted to hide it. Japan Japanese militarism made no attempt to hide any of this. And I would recommend those who don't know the history, you have a library, read. And I guess I've made my point very clearly, is what I think of these guys. And anyone who falls into their little traps is simply a fool. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Dale Chang, followed by Margaret Hammond.
Okay, my name is Dale Chang. First of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor and the member of the City Council, give me opportunity to explain about the little bit Korean community's opinion for the monument. I'm a support have to the monuments of the comfortable woman in this city. I spoke even at the last public hearing. I said at that hearing that by having statue, we can give the lesson to our children and we can educate the future generation to that these miserable things never happen again. As a human, we have a sense of humanity. We cannot ignore and we cannot forget the miserable life. Tiny young girls, they have to be imposed the sex 30, 40, 50 times. Also, they got the beating. It's a routine almost every day. We should not forget ourselves and must teach to them our children and future generation. The statue will give you represent that history should not be forgot. That is the reason and that was the point the monument was to be there. I was very happy when I see the raising the monument in the city over here. I visited there already with my wife and son, explain to them, and I'm for sure someday I bring in my grandchildren when they understanding. I'm going to explain the meaning of the monument, and then I'm going to tell them no one can hurt somebody's life for their own purpose, because everybody's life have to be respected. I was disappointed when I heard Mr. Mayor told to the Japanese media that it was a mistake to have the statue. He went against the majority of residents' opinion extra. Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to say that, but if you went against the council's decision in public because you didn't supposed to eat, where is the democracy in the council's decision and majority residents' opinions who support it? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Margaret Hammond.
Your Honor, members of the council, staff, and audience. My name is Margaret Hammond. I happen to be a member of half of the human race in the world, being a woman. And we all know how women over the years have been subjected to humiliation and agony. Hitler was a prime example of that when he defeated the countries and the women there were his captives to do as he wished. And so this was also a part of it. I do feel that it's coming up November the 11th. We need to remember what that is all about. And that is for all the victims of all the wars. We say Memorial Day, we feel it's for our veterans, and that is important. But again, I mean, the people who suffered were women and children also, that were innocent victims. You know, men waged the wars, but the women suffer. They suffer in a lot of ways, that they lose their fathers, their sons, their brothers, and when they are subjugated as innocent people, nothing to do with waging the wars, actually, but they do suffer a lot of the humiliation and agony and losing all their families and everything they have. But, you know, they get up and they keep moving on, and women are, I think, probably, maybe there's more women in the world now than there are men, but also they seem to be stronger and living longer and standing up, and hopefully will think more about not having war and just trying to do good for other people that require it, such as the homeless and the veterans and people who are in need in this world. There's lots of them. We all know them. We see them. We're going to have homeless shelters down in our South Glendale for people. A lot of them will be veterans. So I think on this November the 11th, we really need to think of that. And I know it is sad. It's terrible. I read the history of the women, and I know Mr. Weaver is not mean at all about that. He would not ever feel that that was not honorable to honor women. He's very devoted to his own family and wife. So, and I do want to make one more announcement. I know Mr. Quintero is involved in a lot of the veterans groups and so forth. I belong to the Women's Athletic Club, which is just a little group. It's 90 years old this year, and they had given money, and I would like to say that it's a $200 donation. It isn't large, but I would like to know where Mr. Quintero feels it would do the most good. And I urge everybody to think about the veterans, the wounded veterans coming back, and what their needs are, and to help them. That is something we can do to increase our, honoring the soldiers who have given their lives and everything they have over all the wars. I mean, I know the recent wars we know in our minds and see, but it's been going on for a long time. and we have lost a lot of our wonderful young men over the years in their roles as soldiers. That's all I have to say. I don't know how much that will have any weight with people, but think about it. We don't feel any animosity or discrimination towards other people that have suffered. It's really too bad between countries that fight each other, that it continues on in this way. It really is. When we're here in America, we ought to enjoy it. Thanksgiving's coming up, and think what a wonderful country we have, how rich we are, and how lucky we are to be able to stand up and say our piece one way or the other under the First Amendment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have no more cards. What is next?
Next item is just...
Yeah, I want to make some comments. I want to start by thanking everyone that came tonight, and some of the speakers. I'm very happy to hear from you. I've been kind of wondering what the response was going to be. Let me start by saying I feel very good in what we did, and someone said it was a difficult decision. I don't think it was difficult for us at all, because we knew it was the right thing to do, that it is a historical reality, that it is a human rights issue, and Japanese right-wing nationalists don't speak for the nation of Japan. I'm convinced of that. They may be the most vociferous, they may yell, but they don't speak for the Japanese nation. In this country, Japanese American groups, as was mentioned, Japanese American groups, Americans born of Japanese descent, they support what we did. They support what we did individually and with these actual organizations that have written letters and supported us. And no, this wasn't isolated to Korea and specifically to Korean young women. This took place throughout Asia. Unfortunately, Korea may have borne the brunt since it was under occupation by the Japanese for many years, and so there were probably more young women that came from Korea. However, they did this, the Imperial Army did this in China, they did it in the Philippines, they did it all over Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Thailand, Burma, Indonesia, and they did more than comfort women, as one of the speakers mentioned. It was, in fact, a Holocaust from Manchuria in the north of Asia all the way to the south. What the Japanese Army did was beyond the rules of war. And it's time for people to understand that, and hopefully there's enough Japanese in Japan that will speak out and not let the right wing and not let the nationalist forces in Japan take over. And then finally, let me say that in my opinion, what Mr. Weaver did was very inappropriate. He didn't have any reason to go on Japanese TV and say what he did. He has a right to say it. There is a First Amendment, but a vote was taken. A majority of 4 agreed that this was the right thing for this city, and it should have been left at that.
Mr. Najarian.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to state that human rights knows no nationality. Human rights knows no borders. Human rights doesn't need a zoning master plan for our Central Park to be stood up for. I am disappointed in your comments. However, I do recognize your right, your First Amendment right, freedom of speech. I wish, however, that in the interviews and the ensuing letters, they were done as a private person and not as the mayor or taken in the mayor's chambers. However, as I said, I will fight for you to be able to express your opinion. But the rest of us, clearly, you know where we stand, and we stand for human rights wherever. It starts with the Armenian genocide, it starts with the Rwandan genocide, it goes to the Holocaust, and on, wherever it is. This council is not afraid to make a statement and commemorate any inhumanity to man.
I also want to thank everyone for coming today. You're thanking us for installing the monument, but I want to thank you and the Korean community for making this possible, because the funding is coming from the Glendale and the greater Los Angeles Korean American community, and possibly from Koreans in Korea and outside of Los Angeles. So it's us that should be thanking you for bringing this to our city. I'm extremely proud to have this monument in Glendale and in our Central Park. I believe that it's very important that we commemorate this history, that we teach this history, not just for the comfort women, but to teach about the innocent victims of war, which is really what this is about women and girls and their fate, because we think a lot about the veterans, we think about the soldiers, but there are repercussions in any war that go far beyond the soldiers. And to me, that's a lot of what this monument talks about. So I want to thank all of you and for everybody who made this monument possible. Chang Lee, I know there were many groups that were involved. I feel very honored to have this in Glendale, and I'm so glad that you were here today to celebrate that with us. Thank you.
Nothing's changed in my disposition. I stated my reasons for voting the way I voted. They're fundamental. They're coming from personal experiences or experiences that my people have unfortunately undergone. We stand by this decision. I stand by this decision 100%. If the vote came today, if it were to happen today, I would vote without blinking an eye. So know that we not only know what happened, but we stand by the community, we stand by the truth and by the historical justice, and therefore all I can say is that I hope that the Japanese public and the Japanese state follows suit and does the right thing and apologizes and gets on.
Comments? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move second.
Stand adjourned at 8:04 p.m.